My name is Emma, and at 45 years old, I find myself drawn into the captivating world of French soap operas, thanks to the plethora of streaming services available. Each new drama hooks me deeper, weaving intricate stories filled with intense emotions. However, amidst the fictional dramas on screen, a real-life saga unfolded in my own life not too long ago. It was nearly 5 years back when I shared a home with my husband, who happened to be older than me. Despite our lack of children, I cherished the idea of spending quality time together. Yet an unexpected twist emerged one day when my longtime friend Julia, whom I've known since childhood and who even attended our wedding, called to reveal her recent divorce. The news caught me off guard, and as I returned home, intending to share the revelation with my husband, he surprised me by already knowing about Julia's marital troubles. Bewildered, I questioned how he had learned about it, as I hadn't mentioned it yet. His response left me uneasy, as if he had discerned something awry in our relationship. As the conversation unfolded, he made plans to accompany us for drinks, turning what was meant to be a girls' night out into an uncomfortable trio. Confusion and uncertainty clouded my mind as I attempted to navigate the situation, unsure of my husband's motives and feeling a sense of disconnection. I found myself puzzled by my husband's sudden insistence on joining our girls' night out. It seemed unusual, and I couldn't quite fathom his motivations. However, at his behest, I reached out to Julia to see how she felt about the idea. Surprisingly, she seemed open to the idea of us all hanging out together, which caught me off guard. I had anticipated her to prefer a night without my husband's presence. As the evening unfolded, the three of us, my husband, Julia, and I gathered for what turned out to be an unexpectedly enjoyable outing. Despite my initial reservations, the atmosphere was light, with Julia sharing her grievances about her recent divorce, which we turned into lighthearted banter to lift her spirits. However, amidst the laughter and camaraderie, I couldn't shake off a lingering sense of discomfort. A brief trip to the restroom heightened my unease as I returned to witness what seemed like an intimate exchange between Julia and my husband. Their prolonged eye contact and seemingly private conversation left me feeling unsettled, especially considering they hadn't seen each other since our wedding. Despite my attempts to brush off my concerns, the incident continued to nag at me throughout the evening. As the night drew to a close and Julia grew increasingly inebriated, my husband's casual offer to take her home alone caught me off guard. His nonchalant demeanor and lack of consideration for my feelings left me feeling marginalized, especially considering our relationship. Although I voiced my concerns, my husband's insistence on escorting Julia home alone further fueled my doubts. His rationale seemed flimsy, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. Despite my protests, he remained adamant, leaving me to contemplate the implications of their seemingly close bond and his disregard for our relationship. In the end, as they left together, I couldn't help but wonder about the nature of their relationship and whether I had been too quick to dismiss my suspicions. The night had taken an unexpected turn, leaving me with a whirlwind of emotions and unanswered questions about the dynamics between my husband and my longtime friend. Let me narrate the tumultuous events that unfolded after that fateful night. Julia, now living alone in her apartment, added another layer of complexity to the situation. The discomfort I felt during our outing transformed into disbelief as I contemplated the possibility of her sharing details with my husband while I was briefly absent. Despite my initial hesitation, I made the decision to leave them together and head home alone. The conflicting emotions churned within me as I grappled with the implications of their seemingly close bond. However, as I stepped into the familiarity of my husband's study room upon my return, I found myself drawn to the shelves, wondering if they held any clues to the truth. My eyes fell upon a forgotten photo album, its presence unfamiliar amidst the familiar surroundings. With a sense of foreboding, I flipped through its pages, revealing a trove of photographs capturing moments of happiness between my husband and Julia. Each image spoke volumes, hinting at a relationship that had been clandestinely blossoming for over a decade, unbeknownst to me. The weight of this revelation hit me like a ton of bricks, exacerbating the effects of the alcohol coursing through my veins. Nausea threatened to overwhelm me as I grappled with the betrayal unfolding before my eyes. In my intoxicated state, I stumbled towards the bathroom, only to be intercepted by my returning husband. His obliviousness to my distress grated on my already frayed nerves, prompting a visceral reaction as I recoiled from his touch. The facade of normalcy shattered as I struggled to come to terms with the depth of his deceit. With each passing moment, the anger simmered within me, fueled by a sense of betrayal and disbelief. His attempts at reconciliation only served to further infuriate me as I recoiled from his gestures of concern. The urge to drown my sorrows in alcohol and oblivion intensified, a desperate attempt to escape the pain of betrayal. Yet, amidst the chaos, a steely resolve took hold as I braced myself for the inevitable confrontation that lay ahead. As we faced each other in the living room, the air crackled with tension, punctuated by the weight of unspoken truths. His casual demeanor belied the gravity of the situation, a stark contrast to the turmoil raging within me. With a sense of resignation, I posed the question that hung heavy in the air, demanding answers to the painful truth revealed by the damning photographs. The confrontation with my husband was a moment of reckoning, fueled by a mixture of anger, betrayal, and a desperate need for answers. As I presented the album I had stumbled upon in his sanctuary, his pallid complexion betrayed his inner turmoil, setting the stage for a series of questions that demanded truth and accountability. With each query, I peeled back the layers of deception, laying bare the extent of his infidelity and the shattered remnants of our marriage. The first question hung heavy in the air, a simple yet damning inquiry that left no room for evasion. Yet his silence spoke volumes, a tacit acknowledgement of his guilt that only served to stoke the flames of my fury. As I pressed for a response, his words stumbled forth like shards of broken glass, punctuating the tense silence with hollow apologies and feeble excuses. His admission of betrayal was met with a cold indifference as I grappled with the reality of our shattered trust and the irreparable damage inflicted upon our relationship. But it was his declaration of allegiance to another that truly shattered what remained of our bond. The revelation of his love for Julia, delivered with the fervor of a newfound zealot, struck me like a dagger to the heart. His words, laden with the weight of destiny and spiritual alignment, rang hollow in the face of his betrayal. In that moment of clarity, I realized the futility of salvaging what was left of our marriage. The bonds that once tethered us together had been severed beyond repair, replaced by a chasm of betrayal and disillusionment. His desire for divorce, fueled by his newfound connection to Julia, was met with a resigned acceptance, tinged with a bitterness that lingered like a bitter aftertaste. As we parted ways, the echoes of our failed marriage reverberated in the empty space between us, a testament to the fragility of trust and the inexorable march of fate. In the end, all that remained was the hollow shell of what once was, a testament to the fleeting nature of love and the harsh realities of human frailty. In response to my husband's absurd request for a divorce, I found myself retorting with an equally absurd attitude. As he continued to badger me with his demands, I chose silence as my shield, retreating into the sanctuary of the shower to escape his tirade. His shouts echoed through the walls, a stark reminder of the crumbling facade of our once happy marriage. With each passing moment, the rift between us widened, fueled by resentment and unspoken grievances. His insistence on divorce only served to strengthen my resolve, as I defiantly asserted my independence and reclaimed my sense of self-worth. In my eyes, he had become nothing more than a nuisance, a mere speck of dust in the vast expanse of my existence. The next day dawned with an air of liberation as I embraced the newfound freedom that lay before me. With my husband gone for the day, I reveled in the solitude of my own company, relishing the peace and quiet that had long eluded me. As he returned home that evening, his footsteps echoing through the empty halls, I remained unmoved, refusing to acknowledge his presence. His frantic search for his missing shoes served as a stark reminder of the irreparable rift that had formed between us. With each passing moment, the divide between us grew wider until it seemed insurmountable. Yet, I remained resolute in my decision to forge ahead alone, undeterred by his futile attempts at reconciliation. As he pleaded for my attention, I remained aloof, lost in my own world of luxurious indulgence. The clatter of his footsteps echoed through the silence, a stark reminder of the chasm that had formed between us. His confusion and frustration only served to reinforce my resolve as I forged ahead with unwavering determination. In the end, as he followed me with a mixture of confusion and desperation, I remained steadfast in my resolve to reclaim my independence. With each passing moment, the realization dawned upon me that I was no longer beholden to him or the confines of our fractured marriage. In the silence of the evening, I found solace in the knowledge that I was finally free to chart my own course, unencumbered by the weight of his expectations. Amidst the turmoil of our fractured relationship, the mundane tasks of daily life became battlegrounds for our ongoing conflicts. As my husband demanded food, I responded with a curt dismissal, reminding him once more of my solitary existence. It was a small act of defiance, a silent declaration of my newfound independence. With each passing day, I found solace in the small victories, relishing the opportunity to reclaim my autonomy in the face of his relentless demands. Even the simple act of disposing of his toothbrush became a symbolic gesture, a subtle reminder of my newfound liberation. Yet, as the morning light filtered through the curtains, I found myself face to face with the aftermath of our tumultuous night. My husband, disheveled and contrite, bore the weight of his transgressions like a heavy burden, his apology a desperate plea for forgiveness. His words hung in the air, laden with the weight of his remorse and the promise of redemption. But as he knelt before me, his plea for a fresh start fell on deaf ears. The scars of his betrayal ran too deep, leaving me numb to his hollow gestures of contrition. In that moment of vulnerability, I stood my ground, refusing to be swayed by his empty promises. His shock at my rejection mirrored my own disbelief at his audacity, as I recoiled from the notion of reconciliation with a man who had betrayed my trust so callously. As he pleaded for a second chance, I remained resolute, unwilling to entertain the possibility of a future tainted by his infidelity. My refusal to capitulate to his demands was met with confusion and despair, as he struggled to comprehend the gravity of his actions. In the end, as he grappled with the consequences of his betrayal, I found a glimmer of satisfaction in his anguish. For too long, I had allowed myself to be manipulated by his empty promises, but now I stood firm in my resolve to reclaim my dignity and self-worth. As the echoes of our confrontation faded into the silence, I knew that I had made the right choice. For in refusing to accept anything less than the respect and loyalty I deserved, I had reclaimed my power and emerged stronger than ever before. In the wake of the revelation of my husband's betrayal and the devastating truth of Julia's involvement in our marital downfall, I found myself at a crossroads, grappling with a tumultuous mix of emotions ranging from anger and betrayal to a deep-seated determination to seek justice and reclaim my sense of self-worth. It was a watershed moment that demanded action, and I was ready to confront the turmoil head-on, no matter the cost. As the weight of their deceit settled upon me like a heavy cloak, I resolved to take decisive action. With a clarity of purpose fueled by years of pent-up frustration and indignation, I made it unequivocally clear to both my husband and Julia that there would be repercussions for their actions. No longer would I passively endure the pain and suffering inflicted upon me by their clandestine affair. It was time to assert my autonomy, to reclaim agency over my own life, and to hold them accountable for the havoc they had wrought upon my once happy existence. With a steely resolve, I laid out my intentions to seek retribution, to demand compensation for the irreparable damage they had inflicted upon me. Alimony was merely the tip of the iceberg. I vowed to pursue every avenue available to me to ensure that they both paid a steep price for their betrayal. It was a matter of principle, a refusal to allow their deceit to go unpunished, and I was prepared to pursue justice with unwavering determination. Dragging my husband to the threshold of our home, I cast him out into the cold, unforgiving world, severing the ties that had bound us together in matrimony. It was a visceral act of liberation, a symbolic gesture that marked the end of our toxic union and heralded a new chapter in my life, one defined by resilience and self-reliance. And as the truth of Julia's treachery came to light, I felt a surge of vindication wash over me. No longer would I be shackled by the chains of their deception. No longer would I allow myself to be defined by their betrayal. Instead, I emerged from the wreckage of my broken marriage stronger and more empowered than ever before, ready to embrace the challenges that lay ahead with a newfound sense of courage and determination. In the end, their action served as a catalyst for my transformation, propelling me forward on a journey of self-discovery and empowerment. For amidst the ruins of my shattered dreams, I found the strength to rebuild my life on my own terms, forging a path towards a brighter and more fulfilling future, one free from the shadows of their deceit and manipulation. It was a bitter pill to swallow, hearing the sordid tale of betrayal and deception unfold before my eyes. But as I listened to the repercussions of their actions, I couldn't help but feel a sense of vindication. After all, it was the consequences they deserved for their betrayal, for tearing apart the fabric of trust that once bound us together. Now, 5 long years have passed since that tumultuous chapter in my life. In the midst of paying alimony, my ex-husband found himself forced into retirement, his golden years overshadowed by the financial burden of our divorce settlement. And as for Julia, she too found herself ensnared in the web of her own making, her prospects for remarriage dwindling with each passing day. It seems that karma had caught up with them both, exacting its toll for the pain and suffering they had caused. While my ex-husband struggles to make ends meet, and Julia grapples with the harsh realities of her financial situation, I have chosen a different path. Though I have been compensated handsomely for the betrayal I endured, I have eschewed extravagance in favor of a simpler, more modest existence. For in life, one never knows what twists and turns may lie ahead, and so I have chosen to live each day with purpose and intention, focusing on the things that truly matter. And amidst the chaos of life's uncertainties, I have found solace in the simple pleasures, such as indulging in my favorite pastime of watching French soap operas. Recently, I even found a kindred spirit at work who shares my passion, and we have begun to dream of adventures in France together. But as we plan for the future, I am reminded of the importance of living in the present, of cherishing each moment as it comes. No longer do I concern myself with the compatibility of our soul vibrations or the intricacies of fate. Instead, I strive for peace, for health, and above all, for happiness. Today, my goal is simple: to live a life filled with joy and contentment, to embrace each day with gratitude and optimism. For in the end, it is not the hardships we endure or the betrayals we suffer that define us, but rather the strength and resilience with which we face them. And as I look towards the future, I do so with hope in my heart and a renewed sense of purpose.
times I can no breathe. When you look at me like that, I'm falling in. You don't even have to speak. I'll be calling out your name. And I thought I couldn't feel this way. You came up on me like a rain on a sunny day. Now I don't feel the sun. I can't think.